turn to the sudden and shocking death of rap star Juice WRLD. The 21-year-old, who was named Billboard's Best New Artist this year, suffered a medical emergency at Chicago's Midway Airport.
New footage of Juice WRLD before his demise has surfaced, and it changes everything we thought we knew. The story we were told for years doesn't line up with what this video shows, and the truth behind it runs much deeper than anyone imagined. But there's more to this story, and I have every detail they don't want you to hear. The footage that shook the internet. When TMZ dropped the exclusive, the world collectively stopped scrolling. The video, grainy, shaky, and disturbingly calm, shows Juice WRLD on a stretcher, surrounded by paramedics inside Advocate Christ Medical Center. There's chaos, yes, but not the kind you'd expect from someone overdosing on pills. His body isn't convulsing violently like the official reports described. Instead, it looks like his body was shutting down, almost slowly, almost peacefully, like his system had already given up long before help arrived. One nurse can be heard saying, "He's unresponsive, pulse is weak," while another murmurs something about toxicity. No one says overdose. No one says pills. That single word missing from the scene, overdose, is what's lighting up every corner of the internet. Because if this wasn't the frantic overdose story, then what was it? Fans are analyzing the clip frame by frame, noting how Juice's skin color, his breathing, even his posture don't match typical opioid reaction patterns. Some claim the timeline doesn't even add up, that the footage looks like it was shot hours before the official time of demise at 3:14 a.m. Others think it shows evidence of earlier medical distress that no one caught. Either way, the conclusion is unavoidable. The official version doesn't match what we're seeing.
Now, both of the men arrested for weapons violations were charged with misdemeanors. Chicago police are spearheading this investigation, and at this point, we have no idea of exactly what killed Juice WRLD. Autopsy results are still pending. In the newsroom, Vince Girasoli, CBS 2 News.
The footage has reignited every conspiracy theory the internet buried since 2019, from the label cover-up crowd to the police negligence theorists. And at the center of it all is one haunting question. What really happened on that flight, and who's been controlling this story ever since? If you're still here, you already know this isn't the story we were told. There's more hidden between these frames, and it's only getting darker. Stick around, because what's coming next changes everything. The fatal flight. To understand that footage, you have to go back to that morning, December 8th, 2019, when Juice WRLD, barely 21, boarded his private jet in Los Angeles. By all accounts, it was supposed to be a homecoming, Chicago, birthday, celebration. Instead, it became a crime scene. When that jet landed at Midway International Airport, federal agents and Chicago police were already waiting on the tarmac. This wasn't a random bust. The pilot had allegedly tipped off authorities about guns and drugs on board. And when they searched the plane, it was a lot more than personal use. 70 pounds of vacuum-sealed marijuana, multiple bottles of codeine syrup, 3 pistols, hollow point rounds. It wasn't just contraband, it was a career-ending haul. As the feds started tearing through luggage, witnesses claim Juice began panicking. But here's where everything fractures. Some say he swallowed multiple Percocet pills to hide them. Others, including friends, crew, and Adam22 from No Jumper, have never believed that story. As Adam put it, why would someone already facing federal gun and drug charges risk their life over a couple of pills? It doesn't add up.
White folks lynching, we just drenching.
And he's right, it doesn't. Especially when you consider how calculated Juice usually was. This was an artist with legal counsel, management, and label staff, not a rookie panicking over a bag of pills. What if the pills weren't swallowed that night at all, but part of an ongoing pattern? What if his body was already breaking down before the feds even showed up? The footage seems to hint that this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment overdose. It was the tragic end of a body worn down by months, maybe years, of non-stop abuse. By the time paramedics administered Narcan, the overdose reversal drug, it was too late. Juice's girlfriend, Ali Lottie, told investigators that he'd been battling an opioid addiction for years, but even she couldn't have known that his final hours would become the most dissected demise in modern rap history.
Morning. TMZ is reporting rapper Juice WRLD is dead after suffering a seizure at Chicago's Midway Airport. The rapper, whose real name is Jared Anthony Higgins, had just gotten off a flight from California this morning when he collapsed. TMZ says he was rushed to a hospital where he was later pronounced dead. Juice WRLD's most recent album, Death Race for Love, debuted at #1 on the U.S. Billboard 200. He was just 21 years old.
The addiction. This wasn't a random collapse. This was the final chapter of a slow-motion tragedy that everyone around him saw coming. From childhood, Jared Higgins, Juice's real name, had been groomed by the very culture that would one day take him. He wasn't sipping lean because he wanted to look cool. He was sipping because his heroes made it sound sacred. Future, Gucci, Wayne. They romanticized the same substances that would later define his music and his demise. By age 11, Juice was already curious about lean. By 14, he was experimenting with Percocet and Xanax. By 16, addiction had become part of his daily rhythm, a ritual disguised as creative fuel. In interviews, Juice admitted it openly. He said music made him do it, that hearing Dirty Sprite at age 12 made him want to try lean just to see what it was like. He wasn't being rebellious, he was being inspired. And by the time the fame came, the addiction had already solidified into identity. He wasn't Jared Higgins anymore. He was Juice WRLD, the heartbreak prophet of Generation Z, the poet of pain, the kid who sang about dying young and made it sound romantic. His fans loved him for it. His label monetized it. And his friends, they watched it spiral.
These casual moments on board Juice WRLD's private jet give no indication of the blockbuster news that was yet to come.
Get an ambulance inside the Atlantic airport. They got a guy seizuring in here.
Lil Bibby, the co-founder of Grade A Productions, later admitted that they all knew. He recalled finding out Juice was taking 1.5 pills a day, thinking that was bad, until he learned it was actually 4, then more than 4. The numbers kept going up. He was supposed to go to rehab, Bibby said, and he agreed, but he said, "I'll go, but I'm not stopping." That line hits like a knife, because that's not rebellion. That's surrender. That's addiction speaking louder than survival. Everyone saw it. From D Savage hearing him snort pills through the walls, to Allie waking up terrified he'd overdosed in his sleep. Everyone saw it, but nobody could stop it. Because in the music industry, authenticity is currency, and Juice's pain was platinum.
This morning, the music world in shock after the sudden death of 21-year-old rapper Juice WRLD. The artist, whose real name is Jared Higgins, topped charts with his hit song Lucid Dreams.
The intervention that came too late. It's the most tragic irony of all. The people around Juice WRLD actually tried to save him. There was an intervention, there was a rehab plan, there was a path out, but the calendar betrayed him. December 22nd, 2019. That was the date circled for his entry into treatment, 2 weeks after he died. He was 14 days away from possibly saving his own life, and he knew it. His mother, Carmela Wallace, had already been pushing for months. The label had stepped in, his team, his friends, they were all preparing for that next step, but addiction doesn't care about plans. In phone calls and FaceTime sessions, Juice told friends he'd go, but he wouldn't quit. "I'll go to rehab," he said, "but I'm bringing my drugs." That sentence has haunted his circle ever since. Because when you're in the grip of dependency, help starts to feel like punishment. For Juice, pills weren't poison. They were comfort, ritual, coping mechanism, muse. It's why every attempt to intervene ended with a shrug. He'd tell them he'd tone it down, not stop. He wanted balance in a disease that doesn't allow any.
Later, the promising young rapper from the south suburbs would suffer a seizure at Midway's Atlantic Aviation hangar. But these startling pictures here, obtained by TMZ, show why federal authorities were taking a closer look at the flight. 70 pounds of cannabis found inside 41 vacuum-sealed bags. Police say they were discovered by state police canines after arrival. Chicago police report no one from the plane claimed ownership.
And yet, nobody gave up. D Savage recalled late-night talks in the house they shared. Juice pacing the floor, arguing with himself about getting clean, about wanting to live longer than legends. He knew what was coming. He even said it in his music. "What's the 27 club? We ain't making it past 21. The tragedy is that he was right. But what's even darker is that everyone around him heard him say it, watched him prove it, and still couldn't pull him back. The footage we have now, the pale skin, the weak pulse, the frantic paramedics, isn't just a moment of demise. It's the visible aftermath of all the moments of denial that came before it.
News on YouTube this morning, so many questions as to how a seemingly healthy 21-year-old could die so unexpectedly.
The industry that profited from his pain. Let's be brutally honest. Juice. WRLD's addiction wasn't just ignored, it was marketed. Every song, every freestyle, every viral lyric about pills and lean became part of the brand. The label called it authenticity. The fans called it relatability. The truth? It was tragedy sold in 808s. Lil Bibby has admitted that even when he felt something was wrong, when every other line in Juice's songs was about drugs, he didn't stop him. Because how do you tell a multi-platinum artist that the pain people pay for isn't worth the profit? In interviews after his demise, Bibby and others have tried to rationalize it. "We didn't want to tell him what to rap about," they said. "That's how he expresses himself. And that's the moral trap the music industry never escapes. The more an artist bleeds, the more the public buys. Juice's pain became the product, his depression was the hook. His overdose was the inevitable finale of a genre that fetishized self-destruction. And yet, everyone acted shocked when it finally happened.
How you feel?
Adam 22 said it bluntly. After seeing what happened to Peep and Mac Miller, we should have known better. The industry didn't just fail Juice, it built him for collapse. Think about it. A teenager raised on songs glorifying drugs, signed to a label that let him record hours of verses about addiction, surrounded by a culture that treated feeling numb as poetic. It was a perfect storm. And now 5 years later, the same system still thrives. Lean is still trending. Perks are still punchlines, and every new artist who raps about dying young gets hailed as real. But realness shouldn't cost a life. The footage from that hospital isn't just disturbing. It's an indictment, not just of one night, but of an entire industry that let a 21-year-old deteriorate in public while calling it art.
Breaking right now, we are getting our first look inside the private plane of rapper Juice WRLD. He died after suffering a seizure at Midway Airport. CBS News' Ventura Soli has been digging into the story all day and reports they were traveling with more than just drugs.
The legacy that refuses to die. In the years since Juice's demise, his mother has transformed grief into mission. Carmela Wallace didn't hide from the truth. She used it as a weapon against silence. Through the Live Free 999 Foundation, she spent years trying to undo the damage her son's generation inherited. The normalization of mental illness, the glorification of addiction, the commodification of pain. She said it best. I decided early on I wasn't going to lie about how he died. That raw honesty is what keeps Juice's legacy from becoming another romanticized myth. Because despite the chaos, Juice WRLD wasn't just another sad rapper. He was a visionary with empathy stitched into every lyric. His music wasn't about drugs, it was about why he took them. Anxiety, loneliness, the unbearable pressure of fame. And that's why, even after his demise, millions still cling to his words. Lucid Dreams isn't just a hit, it's a generational confession. Legends isn't just a song, it's prophecy. Every line he wrote feels heavier now, as if he'd been writing his own eulogy in real time.
He turned 21 just last week. Juice got his start posting songs to SoundCloud, his career quickly taking off.
Juice WRLD!
Earlier this year, Billboard naming him Best New Artist.
The new footage doesn't erase his art. If anything, it humanizes it. It reminds us that behind the hits and headlines was a young man whose body couldn't carry the weight of his genius. A kid who wanted to be better but didn't know how. And maybe that's the real story. Not a mystery about pills or police or conspiracies, but the universal tragedy of trying to heal in public when the whole world is watching. Before you go, remember, the story doesn't end here. What's coming next will rewrite everything we thought we knew about Juice WRLD's final moments. Hit that subscribe and turn on notifications. The truth deserves to be heard.